Man, it's just funny how all this stuff just works because I was frustrated a little bit earlier, right? School just concluded. We got the first day back of school where students came back from a 4-day break. And, working with some 10th graders that we already know, have just levels of math proficiency. I've learned, I mastered it where I created a program, math relation, know it based off of the relationships, but also making a connection of how you utilize this in the real world, answering that question. And the biggest one is when you apply it to yourself, where I think about just a few things that just started with today. Waking up where you have different friends that are able to come through for you to share uplifting message, talk about scripture, dive into the word, being grateful to finishing class where I was frustrated. I was thinking about posting a video talking about just my frustrations of knowing some people just don't carry the pride, the courage, the boldness, most importantly, the persistence. And I thought about that as I was looking at just my reflections of, MLK Day yesterday. And, one perspective, I'm like, man, we don't necessarily show or represent it in a way that, I believe in how it was supposed to be or how it was carried out, or we follow the tradition. And then, year after year just comes the same, mundane. And I looked at it as like it's outdated. And I'm over here looking to gather other people, we got other people's thoughts and ideas about it where they do agree. You're speaking on some real stuff. But the next thing is taking action on it. And, I think about just my conversation I just had, literally, with Mr. Upson, who we have as one of our janitors at the school. And, he put me on straight, with his own ideas and own brand and what he's been doing over years, how God works through all of us and to carry out that message where, it's either you're slipping or you're on point. And that's the ability to just be focused, where you're able to distinguish what it is that you need to do. You're able to distinguish things that you know is not good for you. And whatever you choose, that's what's gonna be controlling your life. I know big one for me, I love people, I love service. And, sometimes I go above and beyond just to see other people smile and happy. But I know deep down, that's also something for me that's to fulfill. I know, you can only feel that with God, be honest with you. You can't feel that in with anybody else, especially knowing what somebody else might be going into. You create that codependency type of relationship where you all are just entangled and enmeshed with each other. You learn from this stuff, especially from experience. And you would just learn to be honest and vulnerable about it, what allows you to take things to the next level. And so as I think about today, I think about just reflections where, maybe this is a vision that I have and it's supposed to be created. And, as I even take you look even deeper, I know growing up, I always had this one specific poster in my room where it shows Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, and Barack Obama. And I was like, I want to be the fourth face. I want to be that person. I look at it in a sense of now it's like judging a sense of martyrism, where you don't want to necessarily be a sacrifice, but if it's God's mission, you fulfill. But it's looking at just what are things, especially I look at like civil rights, the civil rights leaders. Things that we've been missing is just that legacy that's left behind where we're able to teach, apply that so it goes to their schools, it goes to education, where I can only imagine, but it's like, what if Martin Luther King had a school to be able to teach people public speaking, leadership, following what, he's able to do. But then that's also another task off of what, he was already doing. I bring this back to Mr. Upson when talking about being on point or caught slipping. So it's like knowing you're focused on what you need to do, and then he surrounds you with the people who know more than what you do to help you put those spaces and certain situations, circumstances around you where I don't need to be in everything. I can be involved, but trying to know it all it overwhelms you. And I know I did that big time, where I'm thankful to be in a lot of different spaces I did, but it came a lot to carry and a lot to hold. You put a lot of pressure on yourself when it's not necessarily needed to. So I put that out there for you all. Also tune in where you can see more and learn, where you got me and POTD. So you put me on different channels where I'm able to really explore a lot of community sentiments and enjoy what it needs to be done. Really learn from people. Like, put yourself out there. I think about just getting myself involved with community organizing. It's going to challenge you with all of those different things. It's going to challenge you with a lot of insecurities you might have had. I know right off the bat, just being a teacher, I'm thankful to taught now year 5. I've been able to be in 3 different settings of Miami, and I was able to learn a lot where my students come from and understand the behaviors and actions that happen, the stresses, where they able to put that out, where you don't want to be a punching bag to it all, but you see it. And now it's like how students are able to just regulate, and they'll know. Oh, they'll know, because they'll come up as a kid. They don't want to apologize with the symphony when they know they did you wrong. So I like the ownership and accountability there. Now it's just be able to just train that. Of course, you're not going to reach everybody, which is a lesson. But I think about how my reach can be able to help impact people who I know, been in my network in different positions, to take it to that next level of allowing someone else's story be the connection to someone else's. His story is her story is my story. All those things are connected, and that's where I put my all. To be honest with you, when I think about just comes down to education, but particular math. A lot of people run from it. So it's like, okay, you got to put stories in, you got to make it entertaining, you got to draw another level of focus, you got to make it relatable. And I think of, someone told me this, and I learned about it the other day. What was it? They said scam. It's like, still confused about money. Perfect acronym. Scam. It's just the numbers, relations. They're like, I don't know. To me, I gotta put 15 down, and then you know, that's the confusion. They don't necessarily know. And you bring that back to your taxes, bring that back to tariffs. A lot of these other, federal, you could say, money relationships, where it allows people to now get an understanding, make the relationship, and say, okay, this is something that the U.S. is doing on Canada. All right, this is something that I could apply from the Jackson residence to the Harris residence. This is something that I could be able to learn to apply from Mr. Jackson's classroom to Mr. Ford's classroom. And you're able to exchange resources, where that's all this is at the end of the day. Break it back down to history. Immediately comes to my mind is like the Silk Road, where all of this stuff is just trades. And people are able to share different goods, services of what you need and value. Amongst that, relationships happen. Form the good, form the bad, learn from them. But at the end of the day, it's doing it. Where experience is the best teacher. And at the end of the day, you gotta do it. Don't put so much pressure. I know I'm a big one for that. put a lot of pressure on myself. Just I feel and I know how heavy this all is with just information you know about that others would love to learn about or might be interested about. Similar to school, you know, you're in a setting where you might be one of few that really get it, but you got a whole circus of classmates. But you don't let that stop you. So you learn how to prevail through it, and it helps take you to the next level, helps take you to the next gear. So, sun out there, and we'll keep it going.